Welcome back, everyone. You hope you all had a fantastic makan and lunch. Our next session will be a panel session, food for thought, really, led by the very famous Encik Nadir Ashafiq from the Lorry. The topic will be innovation in industry. And our panel speakers for this session include Dato' Henry Goh from Macro Kiosk, Ashran Dato' Ghazi from Detail Asia, Lenice Ng from Droppy, and Amir Zakwan from Aerodyne. So let's get straight into this very interesting topic. Hope you got your pen and paper to get some notes, because these speakers are absolutely fantastic, knowledgeable, and also inspirational. Over to you, Nadia.
All right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's feeling fantastic, feeling good, and I guess full after eating your lunch. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers today for prominent individuals in their own industries. So I think what we'll do immediately is just to get them to introduce themselves a little bit and the company that they're with. A 1 to 2 minute intro. Maybe we could start with ladies first. So Lenice, if you could introduce yourself in 1 to 2 minutes straight away.
Yeah, sure. Thanks everyone for having me. So I'm Lenice Ng. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Droppy. What we do here is that we work together with retailers in order to actually simplify the whole B2B ordering process. The main goal is to actually enable these retailers to source the right products from the right retailers, right suppliers. And we've been around since 2017. And as of to date, we've been serving close to 50,000 retailers, mom and pop stores across Malaysia and also Singapore. So I'm excited to share more of the insights in how to actually scale your business today.
Fantastic. That's way shorter than the 1 to 2 minutes I expected. Maybe just tell us a little bit about your, how many countries are you in? You know, what's the scale of your operation at the moment?
Yeah, so we're in 2 countries now, Malaysia, Singapore. Scale of operations, all of ours is MCO, right? So a majority of our team members are actually based in Malaysia in itself. We, just like many others, we practice work from home. Definitely we see that this sort of new working methods will stick on to many years to come.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lenice. Let's go now to Dato' Henry from Macro Kiosk. Who is a legend of in his own right. So perhaps you could introduce yourself a little bit and the company.
Wow, okay, thanks. I mean, legend is an overstatement, but anyway, yeah, my name is Henry. I co-founded a company called Macro Kiosk together with my brothers 20 years ago, so that probably a bit a legend in that sense. Yeah, we are a digital technology company. So what we do is that we help companies to acquire, grow, and retain customers through the digital technologies that we have, especially on the areas of communication, payments, and customer relationship management, which are offered through on the basis of solutions as a service. So we basically are subscription-based services where companies can subscribe to our platforms to perform many things, but then with the key objective of actually helping them to acquire, grow, and retain customers. We are Malaysian-owned, Malaysian-based, and of course, here's also our HQ. But however, we are also operating in 11 other countries around the region, mostly, of course, Asia. But we do have one latest office now is available in Europe, which is in Serbia. So that's where our new office is. But generally, our focus is to then bring customers from outside of Asia into Asia, and of course, serving customers within Asia as well. So that's really where our key focus area is. We are currently serving probably about 3,000 customers around from 37 different countries. So we are very much a B2B company. So we focus very much in terms of providing services to industries like banks, which is our biggest industry. We're also doing like for airlines, aviation, and entertainment companies as well. That's where our main focus industries are. Our R&D center is in Malaysia and in China, but Malaysia is our biggest position. We have about 250 employees around the region. About 180 is based in our office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Yeah, so that's all. Good to introduce ourselves. Yeah.
Just to confirm, I heard some rumor that you were the one that pioneered the OTP in Malaysia. Is that right? One-time password, SMS.
In a way, kind of, because, you know, that's also our breakthrough, probably going to the next question if there is. But then generally, yeah, we started off with Malaysia's largest bank, where they were trying to explore online banking. and we just came up with some naive ideas of trying to use SMS as a way of OTP. And that clicks with them, it clicks with Bank Negara, and of course it clicks with our customers or their users. So that works well for us. It then began from there.
So audience, to those who are listening, you are looking at the father of OTP in Malaysia over here.
Yeah, and now that you sort of just revealed his age.
Oh, oops.
Do you?
Okay, let's now move on to Ashran, who was previously a lot of things, but one of it is the CEO of Magic, right? So under his tutelage, Magic grew fantastic, but now he is one of the founders or CEO of Datel. So maybe you can tell us more about Datel, Ashran.
Thanks, Nade. And hi, everyone. Datel is pretty much a consumer intelligence company with the sole purpose of helping our clients, whether it's businesses or governments, to understand people better. Our presence for Datel is in 3 countries at the moment. We're in Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. We had plans initially for last year to go into Vietnam and Philippines, putting that on hold temporarily. But we primarily serve B2C clients or anyone that is helping B2C clients, that's ad agencies and so forth for that matter.
Cool. All right. Thank you for that. Let's now move on to Ame, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of Aerodyne. Right? Maybe you could just tell, do a bit of intro of yourself and then Aerodyne in general.
Sure. Thanks, Nadir. Hi, my name is Amir Zakwan Anwar. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Aerodyne. What I do is I principally run corporate strategy, investment activities, as well as formulation of the global expansion strategy for Aerodyne. So for people who are not familiar with what Aerodyne does, if I could sum up what we do, it's really 2 letters and 1 number, DT3, right? And what DT3 actually means is the first DT is drone technology, second DT is data technology, and the third DT is digital transformation. And we commenced operations in 2014, which was 6 years ago. And 6 years later, in 2020, well, actually January 2021 already, we are operating in 32 countries globally with over 400 employees across the globe. So what we do is we marry the we marry the power of data analytics with drone technology and AI to provide faster, better, cheaper, and safer services to manage assets of our clients all across the globe.
Fantastic. So could you tell us a little bit about the origin story of Aerodyne? Because if I understand correctly from Encik Kamarul, they started off as a drone company that does mostly photography, right?
Yep.
How was that transition from photography all the way until the DT3 that you mentioned, drone tech, data tech, digital transformation? Maybe you could paint a picture.
Sure. So I didn't found Aerodyne. I mean, I'm here on behalf of Kamarul, who unfortunately could not attend as he has a meeting with certain government agencies. However, when at inception, Aerodyne was actually started off as an aerial imagery company, right? And again, Kamarul he had several ventures before that, but in fact, Aerodyne was actually one of the spin-offs of his ventures before, and he recognized the power of using drones as a new way of capturing imagery, and that would then translate into data. So when this started off, again, aerial imagery 2014, and again, the commercial drone space, the commercial drone industry has only been around for 6-7 years. And Aerodyne was at the right place at the right time when we started off this business. So the pivot, there have been many pivots along the way. I think about 4 pivots along the way to where we are now, Nade, which is DT3. So along the way, again, anticipation, the market, the fast pace of market evolution. So we pivot business from aerial imagery to actionable data. So capturing data images using drones, and then building our own software platform to tell customers, okay, these are the data that we have captured. So what, right? So these are the insights that we generate for clients. But now we're moving to another pivot. 2019, 2020, sort of there's been another pivot, anticipating again market needs and where the technology is moving. Autonomous drones, the advent of autonomous drones in the next couple of years. So we are again pivoting the business to make sure that we're in prime position to capitalize this when the market becomes ready for autonomous drones. But I think I'll stop there. I think I'll give
Fantastic.
opportunity for the others to chip in as well.
Cool. Just FYI for everyone, according to some market study, Aerodyne is number 2 in the world. But I've spoken to Abang Kamarul personally. He thinks he's number 1. I think there's by certain metrics, he could be number 1, but according to official metrics, it's number 2. So Lenice, earlier on, if I remember correctly, Droppy wasn't a B2B procurement platform. It was something like a drop shipping platform, hence why the name Droppy, right? So maybe you could just tell us that journey from the start, all the way from Droppy, the dropship, to that Droppy, the procurement.
Yeah, so I came from a family business that does wholesaling, distribution, and even retail for the longest period of time. So at that point in time in 2015, 2016, we saw a surge of e-commerce, the rise of e-commerce stores, right? So individual stores to social commerce and whatnot. And we thought that that could be a potential market where we can actually bridge offline distributors in order to actually sell more, right? So the key is that how can we sell more beyond Lazada and beyond Shopee in itself? So that's where the whole idea of dropshipping came about first, in order to actually connect with all these individual dropshippers, whereby they can actually sell literally anywhere, right? Majority of them actually sold their products on social commerce, so the likes of Facebook, Instagram, and the rest. And the rest actually have their own independent stores, so their own independent e-commerce stores. We pivoted into going and addressing the offline market mainly because we saw that there was more need for our solutions. So when we built this platform, we were lucky enough, or at least like it was not coincident. I mean, it was just coincidental that offline retailers started purchasing items from our platform as well. And then that number in itself started growing, and it overgrew the number of dropshippers on our platform. So hence the pivot actually was very organic, was very natural, that we actually decided to focus more and really building more value to understand and really solving and simplifying the ordering process, the wholesale ordering process for mom and pop stores nationwide. So that's basically our journey, just like between the dropshipping era to procurement.
Yeah. So would you do anything different, right? If you had the chance, that pivot, would you have just started the B2B procurement from the get-go?
No, I would say not, because at the end of the day, I think everything happens for a reason. By actually doing dropshipping first allowed us to answer this market, right? The dropshipping market, whether the suppliers and the context that we actually have is suitable for dropshipping sort of style. And we work together with small to large brands across FMCG and F&B space. So from the likes of your Nestle to Procter & Gamble and the rest. So we realized that these sort of products don't do very well when it comes to dropshipping. But the market for improvement in supply chain and procurement is huge. So that's where we're actually tackling it.
So learning and researching the market before you actually launch something that will hit that product market fit. Dato' Henry, I actually remember reading an article about you talking about how in your teenage days, right? You coded HTML. I think you built computers or dabbled in computers. Tell us the journey, man. Tell us the journey from that all the way until becoming the father of OTP in Malaysia.
Okay, that's not, hopefully I can shorten it quite a lot as much as possible. Start off really at the time, how would I say, 1996, 97, I think at the time during the financial crisis time, I would say. So at the time, my brothers and I would then say, hey, I think, it's not a good time now, but definitely we should need to have some pocket money. So we start off with things like helping to repair computers. We do even teach our teachers in school how to use computers at the time. So then, of course, we started off then building some websites, and that's what we say, okay, you know, that's where we have some pocket money, but I think we should then try to make it a bit more serious. Then we try to then identify certain businesses that can work and probably look at which area we should try to then pitch as a bid to the investors that we're looking for. Of course, then came year 2000 and we say, okay, let's make it a bit more serious because my elder brother just graduated at the time and he thinks that it's time for him to be more serious in finding a work or finding a job. And from there on, he says that, okay, let's not try looking for a job first, well then try to then create employment for ourselves. So then he started that off. I think the part in the sense that it's very difficult to find funding at the time. There's no such thing as VC, angels, or whatever you call it at the time. Funding money is tough. But then, of course, the first drop of money came from our dad, as typical. But nevertheless, is that not a lot. So we basically got some money, get some hosting services up, improve our computer a little bit. And then, of course, we start to do our website and start to write business proposals and stuff like that. And we start to then trying to go around looking for money. That didn't game through as well. So it's only limited amount of money we can survive on. But what we did then, if you all have access to the Star newspaper for the 1st of February, year 2000, we had an article from the Star regarding what we are doing. And the big title of that story says that there's no support from local companies. So there was a big title of the story. I mean, I wanted the story to be more towards like what we're doing, but then it came out, the title being saying there's no support from local companies. But then again, that seems to be very effective. You know, we got some investors from Hong Kong, from Singapore. I mean, we are a couple from Malaysia, and then they came to us and we talked about it. And finally, we landed a deal with a company called IGB. It's known as IGB Berhad now. At the time, it used to be known as Tan Developments Berhad. So they are a developer company. They were doing development, but then they put some money in our company. And from there on, we grew. And it was also tough again because our business model at the time is really about selling SMS. And selling SMS at that time is like, who knows what's SMS, right? It's just to notify you have a voicemail message. So that's where it came about. And you know, SMS is only cost you like a couple of cents at the time. And it's going to be very, very tough trying to build the volume and how this can happen. But finally, our first breakthrough is then we came out with a naive idea. We went to the largest bank in Malaysia, proposed our idea to them. And at the very same time, we say, okay, as far as Bank Negara believe this can work, we will take it on. And I think we are quite lucky that they accepted our idea to try it out. And yeah, and the rest is history. I mean, whether we like it or we don't like it, SMS as an OTB has been around for the past 17 years. And to be honest, it's still growing quite strongly, especially e-commerce now coming along. Yeah. So that's where it ends at that portion. Yeah.
Fantastic. So a crazy idea pitched at the largest bank, which you know, switched the fate of macro kiosks until today. So Ashran, talk us through this experience that you had with Joota, Joota, right? For those of you who didn't know about Joota, Ashran started it, right? And I guess exited the investment. So perhaps you could talk a little bit about that journey, right? From Joota, what do you do? What were the key highlights of that business? And then how do you ended up into Magic?
Okay, so Joota at that time was positioned as a social content network. It wasn't just me alone. I've got about 4 other partners together. And the premise then was literally looking at taking on Facebooks of the world with a simple premise that, you know, if current social media networks was connecting people via people, we wanted to connect people via content. You know, as we were refining stuff on the Joota front, one of my partners went to the States, met up another friend. Long story short, he happens to have a patent that, you know, we felt connected with whatever that we had. And coincidentally, he was about to sell that patent to somebody else. We huddled on a call and kind of convinced him, dude, why do you want to sell for X million US dollars when you can probably grow this larger? So he decided not to sell that, park that IP, that patented IP with us, and then kind of continue the journey. By virtue of that, we kind of re-strategized for us to have presence in the US and kind of look at launching that product in the US. But you know, it went not so great for the US market, to be frank with you guys, but we were able to use the base tech for other things and monetize that differently. You know, there was some you know, 101 entrepreneur startup mistakes that we did. More than happy to share, you know, if there's a need in this course of conversation. But it was an exciting journey nevertheless. It accelerated, you know, in totality, the journey of my entrepreneurial journey, essentially. You know, dealing with the US, dealing with the lawyers there, dealing with a whole bunch of different types of personalities on that front. You know, if I were to then, you know, reflect back, do I, you know, want to go through that process again? You know, not exactly, but the learning lessons to some extent was priceless. And I tell myself that it kind of prepped me, you know, to be CEO for Magic, because it literally covers every single aspect that possibly needs to be covered, and you know, get that depth of appreciation a lot better. Because prior to Juta, it's, you know, I did not fundraise externally. It was doing business on the ground, growing things organically, kind of usual stuff to some extent. But that Juta experience itself kind of brought things to a whole different level. You know, we didn't get to take on Facebook as per what we imagined back then. But you know, you actually literally see some of those essence of what we did within some of the social media networks today.
Yep. So after that, you joined Magic, and then you started the Tel. So maybe tell us that vision. You know, what's the thesis for the Tel?
Well, I did not start that Tel per se. So just to get that frame, I'm the latest addition as a partner within that Tel. That prior of me joining was actually doing a lot of research and advisory services. Me joining in was actually a new wave of Datel, which is the consumer intelligence wave that I described just now. and I was taking lead in terms of driving that consumer intelligence wave. One of the principal partners before took a step back to focus on product, so that we can carry on this new journey as Datel in the consumer intelligence space. And one of the things that, you know, got me activated in joining as the latest edition of partner for Datel was the mission that it has, which was trying to look at democratizing data. And that was my motivation to say, you know what, Magic's all fine and dandy, but if you're an entrepreneur, right, you're also itchy hands to actually kind of do new things. And as always, I'm a sucker for trying to kind of say, you know what, this way of doing things kind of sucks. There's a better way of doing things. And Datel was that vehicle essentially to kind of bring that to reality.
Fantastic. All right, let's move on to like a new theme, right, that I want to talk about. So we talked about the beginning earlier. So now let's talk about that scale-up phase, right? So there are a lot of things that we want to talk, that we want to cover. I hope we have time. I don't think we do. But I mean, so Aerodyne is actually quite famous in terms of acquisitions, right? So, you know, almost every day you see, you know, Aerodyne acquiring someone. And I think probably if you keep going like this, you probably acquire the whole world, right? So, okay, of course, let's step back a little bit. So what's the strategy? Why the inorganic way in terms of acquiring companies rather than, well, start on your own, point number one. And number two, seriously, you know, are you going to acquire the whole drone ecosystem or what? You know, what's the strategy here?
Sure. Thanks, Ade. There are a few points here, right? I mean, we started off, Aerodyne started off, with organic growth, a strategy of acquiring customers through organic growth, right? However, being a company that self-funded, Aerodyne didn't have the firepower at that time. I guess it was limited to internally generated funds to scale beyond the shores of Malaysia. So the strategy was really, we had these crazy growth aspiration. We wanted to be the top drone player in the world. We're almost there. We're number 2 now, so almost there. What we did was, we raised externally. We raised external funding that gave us, I guess, the first firepower for our international foray. And again, the strategy for M&A, we look at 3 key objectives that we wanted to solve. So the first objective is market access, right? So going to set up shop in a new country is difficult. So we need to find local partners to assist us to scale up in different regions. We spend a fair bit of time actually doing due diligence on the local partner. Because at the end of the day, the local partner is going to be the eyes and the ears, the boots on the ground, and that's going to execute the execution and the strategy for that particular region. But at the same time, there's also the other 2 prongs, which are, for example, technology development, right? So that you can develop technology internally. That's going to take time. There's going to take resources. There's going to take up R&D man hours, for example. Or you can acquire a company that already has proven technology, already has a solid customer pipeline, and that operates in X number of countries all over the world, right? So that there is, again, some due diligence, not some, actually quite robust due diligence in trying to figure out what kind of technology we need for Aerodyne to go to the next level, and then pinpoint which technology company is. Of course, there are a few criteria that we need to satisfy, which is, again, fit for our within our plans, good local partner, etc., etc. And last but not least is actually acquiring talent, right? So acqui-hire is another point that I wanted to put on the table. So when we acquire companies, like I said, we do extensive due diligence on the local partner, but the local partner actually becomes part of the Aerodyne family as we grow. One example of this is actually an acquisition we did in the Middle East in April last year. It was the top drone company in the Middle East called Falcon Eye Drones. And the proprietor of Falcon Eye Drones is this gentleman called Rabih Bourashid. And he is the top drone, I guess, the top drone player, the top drone guy in the Middle East. He's the go-to person for anything related to drone in the Middle East. Like, he sits on regulatory councils, etc., forming regulatory frameworks to govern drones as a relatively new industry. So this is the kind of this is the kind of talent that we want to bring into the Aerodyne family. So by being a partner, by acquiring or investing into that company, we actually bring that Mr. Rabih's expertise and also management capabilities into the Aerodyne group, so that we're able to govern the newly added components of Aerodyne group as we scale into the future. So M&A right now, that is sort of our our platform into new markets. We do actively look out for exciting companies to acquire, but of course this is only after we raised our external funding. Before this, we couldn't do that because it was all internally generated.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. So due diligence is a key thing in terms of your M&A strategy, but the thing is, we're in a pandemic, right? We're in travel is not possible. So can I confirm that you do you build personal relationships over Zoom?
Sort of, yes. So
Okay.
for us, before we even do M&A, there is of course that relationship building. We don't jump into an M&A without actually knowing or understanding the capabilities of the local partner. So there is actually time to cultivate that relationship. We work on projects together, for example. We collaborate on certain projects. We co-bid for tenders, for example. And that's sort of the soft due diligence process that we conduct to really understand what the partner brings to the table. And if actually all the boxes that we have are ticked, then we can explore M&A. But right now, I guess it's not ideal that we have to do it through Zoom. In fact, all of the M&A that we've done in 2020 have all been conducted through Zoom calls, virtual due diligence. A bit difficult, but I guess new normal lah. We adjust lah.
Fantastic. I learned something new today. Fantastic. Lenice, I want to ask you. So, is there any creative ways that were there any creative methods that you use in order to acquire new users throughout your journey in Droppy? Like something, you are part of Y Combinator. So Y Combinator, YC, they are very famous, right, for doing all of these hacky ways, right, of acquiring users. So, have you actually implemented any of these?
Yeah. So basically, when it comes to our business, right, definitely having more retailers to come on our platform and start placing orders is crucial. But retailer acquisition, one by one, can take a very, very long time, especially if mom and pop stores are widely dispersed across different geographical locations. So basically what we did is that we leveraged a partnership and we looked at our distributor and brands. We partnered together with them by actually giving them tools to help their sales agents. So that means they are foot soldiers on ground who's been servicing these mom and pop stores to capture these retailers' orders. Because at the end of the day, they've been servicing them for the longest period of time. This is the natural way of capturing these wholesale orders. What we wanted to do is to actually consolidate all of these orderings onto our platform so then we can actually create better information and give better data for brands and distributors to push more targeted products and in a smarter way for those specific mom and pop store. So essentially, long story short, we built a sales ordering app. We pass it over to the distributors and wholesalers. They actually use them to actually acquire all these mom and pop stores together with us.
Yeah, and throughout the years, right, whatever solutions that you have built, do you think that the solutions that you built are unique enough that you can beat the incumbents at their own game? And if so, what's the X factor? What's that USP, versus the other solutions out there that Droppy has?
Yeah, great question. At the end of the day, whether any technology companies can actually create something that is fundamentally different from everyone else is very rare, especially if you're in the e-commerce space, right? If you're in a marketplace space. The key for us is to be able to listen quickly with our customers, what they actually want, our users, and build more value on top of that. So essentially, if you have built an ecosystem where your users find enough value or so much value in using your platform, your product, it makes it really, really hard for them to switch. So the key is to not be extremely different from the rest, is to actually build more value so that your users find extreme stickiness onto your solution.
Cool. Creating an ecosystem so that you create that stickiness. Okay, Dato' Henry, I want to ask you about when you pitched to that largest bank in Malaysia, right? So the OTP idea, and then sort of everything took off. I'm pretty sure there are copycats, right? So how do you deal with the copycats, and what would you say to the next bank or the next bank to say, hey guys, ours is the best, theirs are perhaps a bit more inferior or not up to par to us? How do you argue that?
I mean, initially we are quite good in a way that because we do not have much competitor, or probably there are no competitors at all, so we're able to go to many banks at a time. But of course, the key point is that any technology or any services that any companies are offering now, it's a matter of time before it became commoditized, in the sense that there are many people doing it, many people probably try to copy you or providing the same thing. But we are always focusing in a more 360 degrees, in a way that we are not just looking at the product itself. I think we are looking at the quality of after-sales service, the quality of reliability, the quality of able to have someone attending to the problems of our customers very quickly and to solve the problem with them very, very quickly as well. And of course, along the way, we do also look into things like we are ISO certified, for example. So what it means is that it's something like what Lenice was saying, to create an ecosystem, but then our environment, in the sense that we are not just going to provide you the best possible product. We are talking about providing you a conclusive environment where you can then users more comfortably, confidently, and you know that we are always being there. I mean, for example, at this point in time now, you know, we probably handle something like close to, let's say, 20 million transactions a day, and that constitutes thousands of transactions every second. And if there is a complaint, if your system is down for a minute, you probably have a couple of thousand people calling in to the banks and complaints. So these are situations where the banks or even our customers would not want to have, and we need to be there to be able to support them and to provide them. So everyone can sell probably the same product as what we have, but then the whole entire confidence level needs to be provided. And I think this is where we kind of like excel in that sense, and customers can see us being a reliable partner. I think that's very important.
That 360 solution. Could you comment a little bit about secure tech, right, which is app-based, right? So it's very different from the SMS-based OTP. So are you doing that as well, or is that something that the banks are doing natively on their own?
I mean, of course, I would say that in MyHackathon's perspective, we have those technologies as well, and we are also offering those technologies. Whether is it, you know, we have things like OTP. We call it OTP, but generally you can have OTP on apps, OTP on web-based or QR code-based, even location-based and stuff like that. And those technologies are the ones that we have, and we have provided to our customers, and also they have also leveraged some part and parcel of technology to be in combination with their technology as well. Of course, the good part about us is that our technology is that we run through many companies, customers. We run through it with many jurisdictions as well in terms of the central banks there and things like that. So what we can say is that we provide a very conclusive product in the sense that, you know, you can develop your own solutions, but then we have the technological know-how and the technical know-how of able to then bring knowledge from different central banks, different experience that we have with many other customers, and to bring the best technology and security to our customers. Yeah. So I think in terms of technology, we do have that. But again, of course, I want to say that SMS OTP still, I know, constitute a very big portion because the inherent security of SMS as well.
Actually, sorry, Nadir.
Go ahead.
But Dr. Henry, I'm curious because you see in China, right? Like OTP is like the last gen sort of thing. Do you see biometrics coming into play soon within this region?
Yeah, I think for example, biometric is also, if I want to put it that way, it's also quite old-fashioned in that way. But I would think is that it really depends how you look at it. I mean, technologically, they are very advanced, a lot more advanced technology available. But I think the point is then come down to then say the society adoption of it, the society education of it. That's also one of the problems that we as MyHackathon are facing, because the problem is that we have we always have product development and try to chase out technologies. So chasing technology is one thing, but then trying to then tell our customers, say, please adopt this is totally different thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a bit of a problem. So we are servicing the legacy system and we try to sell the new stuff. Yeah, so that's also another problem in terms of innovation. Yeah.
Cool. Being the taiko in the room, right? So you have seen that, been there, been there, done that in terms of people and hiring, right? So quick tips, like in terms of people and hiring, what are your best practices when it comes to hiring the best people for Macro Kiosk?
Oh, best people. I think that's a very, very tough question to answer, having the best people. I think the point is that there was starting at the time, my brothers and I always involved in hiring, and there was a part of time where we don't involve much. And finally, it came back to us again that we are back involved in hiring almost every single position in the company. I think that's very important. I think that makes sense. I do not have quick silver bullet of what needs to ask or what needs to answer in order to get a job or the best person. But I think that the whole entire feel and confidence during that interaction is very important. I think the key important thing is things like having the knowledge, having the experience, and things like that, or qualification. Those are, you need it. There's nothing to say. I mean, you definitely need those stuff. If you don't have it, you don't even come to the interview, right? So those things are no more. It's really then the interaction when you ask them questions, they answer to you, and how do they react. That helps us a lot. And I think that's something that maybe over time, over experience. And I think when you feel the closeness, I think the confidence during that thing gives you a really, really big difference in terms of what people you hire and what people you get after hiring you.
Cool. So I'm hearing about feel. So that the gut feel is very important. Ashran, how do you hire? Do you use feel or do you use data, right, in order to make that decision?
Well, I've got to say at the moment it's going to be on feel on the employment side lah. On the other side of the spectrum, naturally data comes into play. But I resonate with what Dr. Henry was saying just now. And like for us, while the technical competency, so to speak, is almost like a little baseline, but we try to also put them on test assignments, even before even getting them on board or making that final decision. And it's really during that period that we try to push a little bit harder, especially if we think that this person is a possible candidate, because that's when you kind of see a little bit on the aptitude of that person. Because at the end of the day, you know, what Dato was saying also just now, the working dynamics as you move forward, the challenges that you got to deal together with that person, your reliance to some extent to that person is going to be important in order to be able to grow the company, do the work, and so forth for that matter. So yeah, it is gut feel, but it's also gut feel based on historical experiential data points that you cannot, the only processor is in your mind and your heart, right?
Yeah, the data analytics up here, right?
Yeah. All the algorithms running, nobody can copy or kind of running, duplicate that, right?
Fantastic. I want to ask you, Ashran, on Lenice's question, which is on user acquisition. So I'm thinking that Dettol is B2B, right? So how do you do?
B2B. We are B2B.
How do you do your corporate client acquisition?
Well, our first stage was actually addressing the ad agencies as we were introducing the consumer intelligence space. And you know, if you look within the ad agency network itself, at its root, it's only a handful. So all we needed to do was, you know, try to find, not to say loopholes, within the group, a few champions. And once you get that champions, you kind of like get that snowball effect running. But to get through the champion, you know, being a company that's also non-branded and this larger agencies, which are global in nature, are dealing with other types of larger branded analytics company too. So it's really, I think what Lenice was saying just now on selling the value across. And if you're able to articulate the value very succinctly to the right audience that you're trying to get, then you know, doors will actually open up for you. And I've got a really interesting case in Indonesia in particular, and we were trying to get through Dentsu Indonesia itself, right? It was literally, you know, a ping on LinkedIn, crafting a really strong narrative that would make the CEO respond back, because you know, we all get, you know, one way or another inundated with a whole bunch of messages. And when we got that quick window, we were able to impress upon him enough. And to me, you've got to be able to stand out in terms of what you're putting on the table that makes them, you know, think twice to let you go, because you will go to their competitors and then power them up also. So that's what's the kind of gameplay that we took in terms of acquiring the initial set of customers.
Cool. So what I heard there is a cheeky LinkedIn message directly to the CEO bore some fruits. Is that right?
Yep.
So FYI, kepada semua yang mendengar, you know, that is something that you could very well try if you are a B2B startup. So on startups, Amir, you know, your experience in Khazanah, right? Looking at private equity investment deals, you know, doing DD on multiple, probably the whole drone ecosystem, you have done DD on them. What do you look for in terms of, if let's say I will give you $100 million right now, right? How would you manage that in terms of, you know, what sort of companies would you invest in? What do you look for in terms of the founders and the sponsors, you know, for the benefit of everyone listening here who are budding startups themselves?
berpeluh jugalah 100 million
Ah.
nak deploy. But in essence, what we look for, I think what I alluded to earlier, it needs to fit within what we require, right? The three things that we look for are market access, technology acquisition, as well as talent, right? So I guess whatever potential investment that we look at needs to fall within these three buckets. So number one, of course, we look at things like forecast, projected numbers coming in, etc. But at the same time, it's really the talking about, since there was a big discussion about talent and feel. I would like to put on, I guess, a different kind of lens, an investment lens, right? So when it comes to looking at companies which could potentially be what we call acqui-hires into the group. And again, these are going to be the ambassadors of the Aerodyne brand all across the globe. So the testing first, do some projects together. That's sort of, I guess, in HR terms would be, let's sign this guy on a contract or probationary sort of terms, so that we test the capabilities out, and at the same time, we'll see whether this is a suitable hire permanently, right? With a view that this person is in tune with our overall mission, vision, strategy, etc. That's what we do with M&A as well. I guess looking back at perhaps
Sorry, Ben, I think you're not on mute. Could you just go on mute? Thank you so much. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So similarly with investments, we look at the same, right? We test out, I guess in HR terms will be contractual, probationary, whatever. We try out to see, if let's say this party claims to be able to give us access to, for example, higher ups in government, for sort of government related procurement. We'll see. We'll work on some tenders together, see whether they really do. They can really deliver some of the promises that they've shared before, and then later on we can see whether it's. Sorry, I heard something in the background.
Yeah, they're not on mute.
Yeah. Anyway,
so continue.
So similarly with investments as well, we need to do the due process. I guess it can answer both the questions, right? Talking about talent and also investment. The due diligence plays a really, really big role. Especially in both contexts, investment and also hiring, they are technically both investments. One is financial, in terms of acquiring talent, is actually investment in terms of time and also talent development, right? It's relatively challenging to get a company that fits your goals. It's even harder to get rid of a company or a talent that is not aligned with you, right? So it's a challenging process to invest, whether it's a company or a talent, but it's harder to get rid of a company or a talent that is not aligned to you.
Cool. A lot of nuggets of wisdom there, but what I heard, what I'm hearing is you gotta invest in people that who know stuff and also know people. So both of them, not just about technical talent wholly.
Of course, trust but verify.
Trust, yeah, but verified. There you go. Ashram, maybe very quickly, share with us one hit that you had over the years, over the past 20 years of your life. 20 because you're young, right? You're 20 years, right? One hit and then one miss.
One hit, if anything, was indirect acquisition of that patent out of the States to some extent, because that's was pretty awesome. Miss anything was a few series and not just one, of stubbornness of being stuck on my own business model and not wanting to deal with potential revenues coming in, but thinking that your way is right. So, and there are a couple of those within the spectrum of time period. So that's my hit and miss.
Cool. So if anybody want to know more about, Ashran's hits and misses, you can contact him later. Dato' Henry, one hit, one miss over the past, few years, I guess.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of hit and misses. Obviously, I mean that's where experience comes from. But I think misses, I would say that I should have spent more time knowing more people. I think that's something that I need to do more. And I think this is something that is worth investing in, which I'm not doing it now that much. So that's a missed part. But I think in terms of hit, I think of course OTP that I mentioned just now was a great hit, but that was 17 years ago. But generally now, the good part about our site now is that we are able to actually bring our technology coming from Malaysia, our products coming from Malaysia, and to then having it exported throughout the region and having customers like banks from there and things like that. That's really quite happy for us. Yeah.
Cool. Lenise, do you have work-life balance? Or is there such thing for entrepreneurs?
No way, man.
So it's work.
So here's my take, right? If you are a scaling startup, forget about work-life balance. I think there's a lot of debate going on about it, but in my opinion, I don't think work-life balance is achievable, mainly because your goal is to actually really bring this company into the next level, right? Until it reaches to a certain stage where you think that you can step back from it, then you can start looking into work-life balance. But as a founder and an entrepreneur,
yeah, so very hard to find boyfriend. Okay, one hit, one miss?
Hit and miss. So I think hit is that actually us really creating that sales agent, or at least like the software, right? That we can actually add more value for our brands and wholesalers to work with. We launched it before the MCO. So right now it's like during 2020, it just really speed up our growth. So that was a fantastic hit for us. Miss, I think miss quite similar to Dr. Henry, right? I think I would love to be more hands-on. I think one of the things that in building a scale-up company is culture is very important to ensure that across departments, as we hire more aggressively and the team grows even faster, is to ensure that the culture remains standardized across the different departments. And yeah, so just really be more hands-on with the team members from top.
I'm hearing a lot about people, yeah? So people is a very crucial component to startups. Yeah. Ami, one hit, one miss.
I think in terms of hit, it was, I think, Aerodyne's emphasis on data and also building our own software platform. Even when the market was at that time still talking about, just aerial photography, the usage of drones only for aerial photography. And again, that was what gave us the competitive edge, vis-a-vis our peers, because of this emphasis on actionable insights and stuff like that. Even then, we're still pushing the boundaries on developing technology that, again, for us, we want Malaysia to be a technology exporter. And again, that's something that we are continuously propelling and making sure that we continuously develop and export technology. In terms of misses, I think it's something very specific to Aerodyne. We have been focusing on critical infrastructure. So we're talking about power lines, we're talking about oil and gas, we're talking about wind turbines, etc., etc. But I think one missed, I wouldn't say missed opportunity, but something that we should have put a bit more emphasis on, a couple of years back, was actually the sector of agriculture. Right. This is something that again, Malaysia is well known for. And then this is something that, again, this kind of solution is exportable to our neighbors, which are also very have heavy emphasis on agriculture. But we're doing it now. I mean, we have been not paying enough attention to agriculture, but that's what we are doing now. Again, to make sure that we future-proof our business streams moving forward.
Fantastic. Agriculture is going to be the next big thing. So we have 7 minutes left. Just very quick nuggets of wisdom for participants, right, of MYHackathon. They are trying to come up with new solutions, right? Something new, something innovative, something that could help the nation. So what would be the advice to all of these budding entrepreneurs, startup owners who are looking at scaling their operations? Ashran, one advice.
One would be, don't get distracted or absorbed by jargons and technologies. Sometimes can just lead you astray. Stay focused on the intent and make sure you've got at least a partner or a peer that kind of balance things out a little bit.
So don't look at jargons too much. Lenise?
Yeah. Focus more on tracking your user behavior. It seems very generic and like everyone should know about this, right? But go deep, like really dive deep and understand every single touch points that you have with your users.
Cool. Understand your customer obsessively. Dato' Henry?
Yeah, something Lennis was saying, we have to listen from, just B2B, to be honest, so we have to listen very much from customer. We have to look at what our competitors are doing, and of course, try to input a little bit of our own innovation. But I think the clear important thing is that the founders of companies to drive that, in a sense that this is the direction, and then the rest of the thing they can be very innovative about. But because sometimes we do face environment where you give the total free hand of innovation, you get parts that doesn't combine together. I mean,
so clarity on direction. And lastly, Amir?
Slightly counterintuitive, but disrupt yourself. I mean, it's not a new concept of lifelong learning, right? I mean, what may be relevant today may not be relevant in 6 months or 12 months. So at the end of the day, is the continuous disruption to yourself to ensure that you are ahead of the curve when it comes to competition. Make sure you have a clear economic mode, I would say.
Cool. Last 5 minutes, just a bit of fun, I guess. When we end, just rapid fire. So just spit out one name, one thing that after my question. So, Amir, what's your favorite productivity tool?
Trello.
Favorite company in the world? Doesn't have to be Aerodyne. Don't worry, Bang Kamaro is not listening.
This is a company in the US called Memphis Meats.
Memphis Meats, okay. Meats, like Beyond Meats?
Yeah, something like that. They do lab grown meat.
Oh, cool. Favorite CEO or founder? Doesn't have to be Kamarul again.
I would choose two actually. I can't choose between the two. Well, the popular answer will be Elon Musk. I guess the other one is Ray Dalio.
Ray Dalio, right. Ray Dalio, the investment guy or the coach?
Ray Dalio, the investment guy, Bridgewater Associates.
The investment guy, okay. You're talking about Market Wizards, right? That guy? Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Favorite investment that you've done so far, and I guess earning you a lot of money?
ETFs actually.
ETFs,
on a personal level, yeah.
Very safe ETFs. Ashran, favorite productivity tool?
Evernote.
Evernote. Favorite company?
Tesla.
Okay. Favorite CEO or founder? Elon Musk.
Yes.
Favorite pastime?
Food hunting.
And favorite investment so far?
Datel.
Wow. Okay. Oh, you put your own money, in Datel. Well done. Dato' Henry, productivity tool to improve your life.
Microsoft Teams.
Microsoft Teams and Classifieds. Castify. Well, I've never heard of Castify.
Try that.
What do they do? Castify?
Basically, a customer success team, customer success tools where they actually help customers to or help you to grow your customers and to make sure your company called customer buys.
Understood. Something similar to Salesforce, is it?
Something similar, but this is by startup, so it's a bit more innovative.
Favorite company in the world? Favorite CEO or founder? Jeff Bezos.
Yes,
favorite pastime?
Used to be traveling, but now it's more towards computer games, I think.
Favorite investment?
Of course, Macrocast is one of them for sure. The other one is, of course, some of the tech companies.
Oh, wow. You invested in them?
Quite well. Yeah, some of them. I mean, small investments, but yeah,
fantastic.
It's working quite well for us.
Lenise, favorite productivity tool?
Monday.
Monday.com. Favorite company?
Favorite company, Airbnb.
Airbnb. I'm an investor in Airbnb. Favorite CEO and founder?
Sorry?
Favorite CEO or founder?
Similar to Amir, Elon.
Elon. Favorite pastime?
Favorite pastime, reading or singing.
Reading. Right. And favorite investment to end the session? Tesla. All right. I think that's it. Just nice 2:59. I will now pass the mic back to Ben.
Thank you very much, Nadir. A very, very fantastic session, and you did a very good job there, my friend, in terms of making it casual, santai, relaxed, and really getting the best content out of our speakers who have 1,000,001 stories to tell, but they told a few and you moderated it extremely well. So a virtual round of applause for our moderator. Let's give him a big round of applause. I know you can't hear it. All our speakers, Ashran, Lenise, Dato I mean, great. And also, Amir, great speech. I mean, in terms of what we like to call sound on tapes, sound bites, and those sound bites that we can take that make us better usawans, entrepreneurs, technopreneurs, and all the above. So thank you so much. A round of applause for our speakers. It was a fantastic session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have one more keynote speaker to get through, but before we go, we want you all to win something if you haven't done so already. So fret not, we have one more quiz. Keep your eyes on the screen when I say have a look at this and be the first to answer. Don't forget, we're not just looking for speed, but we're looking for accuracy as well. So have a look at the screen right now for the question. Distinguished viewers, our final session today will be a keynote presentation, and our speaker is the one and only Ms. Zulaira Abu Bakar, CEO of MYHack, and the topic will be technology and innovation, megatrends shaping Malaysia's future. So it is going to be our last presentation today, and it is going to be a great one, as all presentations has been today. Over to you, Zulaira.
Hi everyone, I'm Zulaira Abu Bakar. I'm the CEO of the Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Centre, MYHack. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. It brings me great pleasure to speak today in the presence of technologists, industry experts and budding innovators united by a strong desire to shape Malaysia's future. As we celebrate the finale of this truly unique showcase of elite local talent and ideas, I hope to impress upon you how this gathering holds a broader significance at a particular turning point for the nation. Unprecedented times are times for unprecedented solutions. And the path forward, while uncertain and fraught with challenges, also presents us with the opportunities to reach greater heights collectively. It has been a tough 12 months for the world. COVID-19 has led to the loss of loved ones, loss of businesses, jobs, and economic disruption. But for the first time in human history, we also saw the development of working vaccines under a year, speaking volumes about human ingenuity in times of crises. Born by urgency, the global pandemic has modulated the pace of innovation as governments, societies, and businesses race to find solutions to great challenges. We've seen the mass adoption of communication technologies at a blistering rate. We've seen new business models powered by new technologies emerge. According to McKinsey, the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of digital technologies amongst businesses by several years. There's a new innovation wave happening globally, and it might just be the spark that Malaysia needs to realize its vision of becoming a developed nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia aspires to be a high-income, high-tech nation. We are also uniquely positioned to achieve this vision. According to the Global Innovation Index in 2020, Malaysia was number 3 amongst 33 most innovative economies globally. We earned high praise for our market sophistication, high-tech net exports, and market dynamism. Another study, Bloomberg's Innovation Index 2020, ranks Malaysia as 27th most innovative in the world. Conversely, we also have some areas for improvement. Compared to our ASEAN peers, Malaysia demonstrates a lower level of innovative competency, meaning we produce lower innovative outputs in relation to high level of innovative investments. We also need to improve the proportion of our workforce engaging in research and development. As the world speeds up its adoption and advancement of new technologies, Malaysia needs to capitalize on the megatrends that are driving this innovation wave. And we need to leverage these trends to ensure our collective cutting-edge success. The first path involves harnessing the rise of Asia as the balance of economic supremacy shifts to our continent. Over the last decade, rapid development and technological advancement have increased Asia's wealth. One only needs to look at the transformation and industrialization driving the economic dominance of China and India. These two countries will be the world's largest economies by 2050, and we can already see the balance of geopolitical power starting to shift from the west to the east right now. Malaysia's opportunities lie in harnessing the ASEAN platform, which opens up a market of close to 630 million people, representing 3.3% of world's GDP. The ASEAN market is expected to almost double next year to $4 trillion, becoming the 5th largest economy in the world. Accelerating innovation in Malaysia may mean we produce better products faster or develop cutting-edge technologies that we can supply to rising ASEAN markets. The second pathway for Malaysia is the growing urgency for sustainable solutions. There's no question the global population has grown tremendously. The problem with this growth is that it leads to a host of problems, from climate change to scarcity of resources. crops that require specific conditions to grow are now threatened due to changing weather patterns. And with the global population expected to balloon by 2.4 billion in 2050, our global food output will have to increase by 70%. Malaysia has a plan to solve our food, water, and energy security obstacles. It involves identifying key technologies from local innovators and accelerating its development and growth so it may be put to use to overcome these challenges. Last year, the Malaysian government introduced the National Technology and Innovation Sandbox, or NTIS, to drive the creation, commercialization, and proliferation of advanced technologies specific to the nation's progress. NTIS recently collaborated with FELDA to identify new applications of technology that may help to increase yield, find new efficiencies, and diversify income streams. 5 high-tech startups, from drones to robotic solutions, are stress testing their cutting-edge products to improve harvesting, maintenance, and fertilization of palm oil plantation at selected FELDA sites. NTIS also brought in the Malaysian Civil Aviation Authority to collaborate in relaxing drone regulations, allowing for intensive testing and thereby fast-tracking our path to identify the most effective solutions for agriculture. The last pathway for Malaysian progress is of the rising digitalization of all aspects of society. Digital transformation is now a prerequisite for the modern age. As we've seen in recent times, COVID-19 has made it abundantly clear that we cannot afford to live without digitalization. Virtual learning, for example, was vital in limiting the disruption to school lessons, sustaining the delivery of education around the world. Telemedicine was called upon to ensure the remote delivery of healthcare services while protecting the safety of patients and healthcare providers. Even at the level of government, we need to harness the power of digital technologies to streamline public services. That's where programs such as MYHackathon come in. Through this program, we're looking for out-of-box solutions and innovation to provide our services more effectively, to cut response time, to connect better with public. Ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia has a robust innovation strategy to drive its progress. MOSTI recently launched the new National Policy on Science, Technology and Innovation, better known as DISTIN, planned for 2021 to 2030. It's a bold plan to transform Malaysia from being technology user to technology developers. The plan outlines 6 strategic thrusts to intensify local development and application. To support the implementation of this policy, the Malaysian Academy of Sciences has developed 10 by 10 MySTIE framework. This blueprint highlights 10 socio-economic drivers pivotal to Malaysia's advancements. These include sectors such as agriculture, energy, water and food, medical and healthcare, and smart technology and systems for manufacturing. Matched to these socio-economic drivers are 10 technological trends we must leverage to transform these sectors and thus propel Malaysia towards economic goals. These include advanced intelligence systems, which encompasses advanced robotics and AI, sensor technology, blockchain, and 5G, 6G technology. Leveraging the power of these technologies to drive Malaysian growth will require a concerted effort from every stakeholder of the STI ecosystem. We need to ensure we identify and support startups and technology providers with right solutions from a funding perspective, but also from a capacity building and market access perspective. We need to boost our talents in the field of science and technology, whether that means inspiring new graduates or upskilling existing workforce. More than that, the Malaysian government is especially hungry to work closely with budding entrepreneurs and innovators as we set sail on this journey to become a high-tech nation. Through programs such as MYHackathon, we're not only hacking our chances of finding innovative solutions, we are essentially building an ecosystem, a safe space where beginners and experts alike can gain vital exposure to solve challenges that lie ahead of us. Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 may have disrupted our progress, but it also signals a new dawn for the nation. Malaysia has everything needed to become a high-tech and a high-income nation. What we need more are passionate innovators such as yourself. As much as today is a finale, I hope it also represents a new beginning for many of you. I hope you'll go on to do greater things to innovate for the good of Malaysia and to inspire the people around you. We are looking to you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Zulera. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our event at MYHackathon 2020, an enjoyable event that brought many people together, contestants, coaches, mentors, organizers, judges, sponsors, service providers, the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, Cradle, respective government agencies and partners, and all of you, fans and friends of entrepreneurship. Let the spirit of this event continue, and God willing, inshallah, we will be back for another round of MYHackathon. Remember what this event stands for. It's such a tongue twister because I'm just getting a little bit emotional thinking about it, because after months of 6 locations, 36 winners, yes, you go through the journey with these startups, with these entrepreneurs, usawans, to go the journey to digitalize, streamline, simplify, and even disrupt government delivery. My name is Ben Ibrahim, and it has been a pleasure to be your MC, your virtual MC for MYHackathon 2020. Alhamdulillah. I would like to say, take care, kawan-kawan, and remember the hashtag MYHackathon 2020.